This is J. Krishnamurti's first public discussion in Saanen, 1972.
I think we have to lay ground rules before we begin to converse together. I think the word discussion is rather misplaced. Discussion means explanation or examination through argument. Opinion against opinion, judgment against judgment, one's characteristic conclusions against another. I think that's word discussion we shouldn't use, if I may suggest, but rather use the word dialogue, which means converse together. Talk over things together. That's what we are going to do every day, for 7 days. And I think one of the days should be devoted to young people, because they've asked that one day only young people should be allowed to discuss and not the older people. The older people could sit at the back and listen to the idiocy of the older as well as the younger. Is that all right? Huh? How old is the young? I don't know, I suppose 30, 35. Is that all right? So, what shall we talk over together today? I mean by talking over, really as two friends concerned with a very serious problem, as two friends, companions, with affection, with consideration, with attention, really talk over what they feel, what they think, what their problems are, how to resolve them. If we could do that during these 7 days, I think it would be worthwhile. So we need, in order to talk over things together, a certain quality of affection, not tolerance, because that's an ugly word. Because then you put up with each other. I tolerate you and you tolerate me. Whereas if we could, seriously, with consideration, with great deal of affection, and naturally attention, talk things over, then perhaps we could come to some kind of resolution of our problems. May we do that? So, what shall we talk over this morning? One problem, one thing, let's go to the very end of it, each day. You understand? Then it will be worthwhile.
Now, there is, of course, this distinction exists within our mind. they are only sort of boxes that we put people in our minds. They're little sort of partitions between people that only exist as a sort of dictionary existence, but not as an actual existence when we face the situation with another person. But they're often within our minds our main distinctions, not only between long hair, short hair, black, white, and so on, but they are always only distinction, and often enough, not a distinction that is...
So what is the question, sir?
The question is how do we shall get beyond this particular...
Obviously, many young, so-called young people, short hair, long hair, whatever it is, asked if they could have a discussion, a dialogue together in the tent here, and so I thought we should have one meeting of that kind. It isn't that there is a time lag between the young and the old, but just the feeling of that young people have their own peculiar problems and they want to discuss, that's all.
Oh yes, I did not want to say anything against that. I only wanted to make this question about the compartments that we put into our mind.
I understand, sir.
Fictional.
Right. So what shall we talk over together this morning? There are too many questions. This is not un momento. This is a friendly talk over together. You don't give a friend a note, say, please, I want to discuss this with you. No, please have little consideration. This is a friendly discussion. I am sitting on the platform because it's more convenient, so people can see. But the platform is not an authority. Because I'm sitting a little higher, that doesn't give me any authority. So, if we could, during these 7 days, take a subject, take a problem, in which we can carefully, diligently, wisely discuss as two intimate friends who are concerned with the problem. If you give me written questions, then it becomes a question and answer meeting. Then that's not what is intended. So if we could please talk over. Haven't you ever done something like this, talk over with a friend? I know there are so many people I know, that's rather awkward. But it doesn't matter. If we could do that, I think we should be wise. What shall we talk over? Could we explore together the question of affection and friendship? Do you want to discuss that?
Could you discuss why we take everything for granted? I find this is one of the questions of
Why do we take everything for granted?
I mean, especially the ordinary things like water in our own bodies and city of sight. We take everything for
Why do we take anything for granted, including ourselves? Yes. Sì. Lentamente, per favore.
Volevo chiedere il significato di questa vita se non ce n'è un'altra dopo la morte.
Ah, bene. Bene. Is there a life after death? Is it possible to transform the human mind?
I'm wondering what it is that prevents a person from being aware of his own inward state. He says he's going to watch himself, that he's not going to escape. And all the time a person's in fear, one gets depressed, for example, and one wants to run away to smoke a cigarette or whatever it is. And you say, I won't run away, I'm going to watch myself. And yet one
Now, can we take that? One question, which is, he asks, how is it possible for me to watch myself, not force myself to watch myself, not deliberately avoid escapes, but just watch myself? Can we discuss that? Do you really want to go into it? Right. And perhaps we'll then discuss about life after death and what is the other thing? And so on. All right. What is the necessity of watching oneself? Why do you think one should watch oneself? Go on, sir. Beg your pardon?
To learn about oneself.
To learn about oneself. I watch myself in order to learn what is actually going on, factually, not theoretically, not in abstraction, what is going on in myself. I want to learn. Now, what does that word mean, to learn? Because I think we ought to be clear when we use the words that have different meanings. What do we mean by that word, to learn? I want to learn about myself. First of all, myself is a living thing, isn't it? Right? Or you don't think it's a living thing? Huh? No, not the word, but the fact. Myself, the me. I want to learn about myself, right? We are examining the two words, learn and myself. Not the word, but the content of that word. Myself is a living thing, isn't it? I'm adding, taking it away. It is a living, not a dead block of material or wood, because it is always moving, right? Are we clear on that? Beg pardon? Why do we want to? Why do we want to be so concerned about ourselves? Oh my. Wait, sir, we're coming to that.
Which have no meaning, and I want to be able to learn about myself so that I'm not constantly in this state.
And the lady asked, why are you so concerned about yourself?
Wasn't what I said an answer to that?
No, she asked, why is one so concerned about oneself? Is it a habit? Is it a necessity? To be not concerned, to learn, is different from being concerned. Surely. I am concerned about my property, to hold it. I'm concerned about my dog. I'm concerned about my garden. But here we are trying to learn, which is entirely different from being self-centered, in a self-centered way, be concerned. So that's clear. Now, I want to learn about myself. What do I mean by that word, to learn? Is there a difference between knowing myself and learning about myself? You understand? I'm sorry to be... this is not splitting hair. I want to learn, I want to find out the meaning of words. You understand, sir? Otherwise, we'll talk two different things. So, when I say I want to know myself, and when I want to learn about myself, is there a difference between these two words?
To me, there is. Knowing would be,
Just a minute, sir, this lady is asking.
to me, there is. Knowing would be something dead, final. And learning is a constant movement, a constant following by a
The lady says, knowing myself is a dead statement, whereas learning about myself is a constant movement. That is, I know you because I met you yesterday, or know you because I've seen you for several years. I have an image about you, and I can add to that image. Then I say I know you. But in the meantime, you might have changed, but I retain the picture of you which I've had for the last 5 years. So when I say I know you, I am judging you from my dead conclusion about you. So we can leave the word know aside, right? So what does it mean then to learn?
To be aware what you are thinking and feeling at the moment.
To be aware of what you are thinking and feeling every moment. Learn.
Well, I guess it's more to collect information.
Vipansa?
I guess it's more to collect information about yourself. Just the information of the level of your body and your organs. And to bring the
Just say a couple of words, I'll try to catch me. Louder too.
yeah, I guess to learn means to collect information.
Learning means collecting information. You see, let me go on. May I say go on a little bit and then you can. I want to learn about myself. Myself is a living thing. Though myself is the result of various experiences, memories, conclusions, and so on, to those conclusions, memories, experiences, one adds all the time. It isn't a dead thing. So it's a living thing. I want to learn about myself. Learn means, doesn't it? Learn about myself who is living all the time, changing, adjusting, conforming, denying, pushing, aggressive. I want to learn about that. Now, to learn, I must have curiosity, mustn't I? Right? Because I know nothing about myself. I'm going to learn about it. But if I come to it with a prejudice being previous judgment, previous opinion, I can't learn about it. Right? So I must, if to learn about myself, I must come to it without any prejudice, right? Without any conclusion, without any judgment. Otherwise I can't learn. I want to learn Italian or Russian. I must come to it afresh because I know nothing about it. So, if I want to learn about myself, I mustn't come to it with a conclusion. Right, sir? Now, this is going to be the difficulty. Because when I look at myself, I say how ugly, how beautiful. This is right, this is wrong. Those are all conclusions which I have arrived previously. Therefore, I'm not learning. Right? Is that...
Approach that without preset limitation.
That's right, sir. Now, can I observe myself without prejudice, for or against? If I can't, there is no learning. Right? Now, please begin. We are talking over together. You want to learn about yourself, and I want to learn about myself. First of all, I want to learn about myself because there is a division between you and me. Not only biological differences, but psychological differences, which bring about a division between you and me, and therefore there is a battle between you and me, we and they, and so on, so on. So I want to learn about myself to see why there is this division, right? To learn. Now, to learn implies, doesn't it, that it's a constant movement. And therefore, it's not an accumulation of knowledge about myself. Please see the difference. Right? That's what we are doing now. Wait, I'm coming to that, madam. Go slowly. I want to learn about myself. First, I see that myself is a living thing. And if I come to it with any prejudice, I can't learn.
I have a question about that, though. The formulation to learn about myself is not the way I feel it. I feel I wish to be myself. If there's learning, then there's a separation. And that's what's painful, the separation.
I'm coming. Sir, wait a minute. You're all too quick for me. I want to go into it step by step, sir, and then see for myself why there is a division between the observer, who is trying to learn, about the observed. Now, is there a division between the observer and the observed? We're going to find out, so go slowly. We must be clear on this, because then we can proceed quickly. Learning implies that any form of accumulation as knowledge will prevent further learning. It will be only an addition to what I already know. So I am looking at myself with the previous conclusions which I have had about myself. Right? Oh, no. Is that learning? I want to learn about myself. And to learn about myself, I must look at myself without any conclusion, mustn't I? No?
When we say, I am a living self, we have there an assumption.
No. When I say I am a living entity, is that an assumption or is it a fact?
But as we understand ourselves, when we say I am a living self, then we mean we are changing.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes.
That means living.
Living.
And so we are discovering ourselves. In that
We are
process.
discovering ourselves We are observing ourselves. We are learning about ourselves. There is no discovering of ourselves as a factual if we are come to it with a prejudice. I can't hear, sir. I can't hear.
Please look at the yellow question label. The yellow piece of paper on which he has written his questions, gentlemen.
What?
He has written his...
He has written a question on a piece of paper. I won't. Sorry. This is a friendly discussion, a dialogue, communication, talking things over. How can you give me a piece of paper when we are two friends sitting here? What, sir?
He says he has no microphone, therefore he cannot talk from so far, he says.
If you... I don't know what to do.
Sir, how do you know when you're seeing a fact? And how can you distinguish that from when you come to a conclusion? I don't see the difference between a fact and a conclusion. Seeing a fact about yourself and coming to a conclusion.
The gentleman says, I don't see difference between a fact and a conclusion. Good Lord. Wait a bit, I'll tell you. A fact and a conclusion. A fact is that I have a toothache, right? The conclusion is I must go to the doctor, dentist. One is a fact, the other is a conclusion. I must go to the dentist to see something about it. Now, a conclusion about myself prevents me from looking at the fact. That is, if I have a previous conclusion, which is a prejudice, I cannot see the fact. That's all we are saying. I don't like examples, but he wanted to know the difference between a conclusion and a fact.
And so that I can understand what you're saying better, that is, that any prejudice about myself prevents me from seeing myself.
That's all. And am I looking at myself with various conclusions? Then I want to find out who is the entity that is looking. You understand? Learning. Who is that entity?
Are you suggesting it's a lifelong process that never reaches conclusion?
Beg your pardon?
Are you saying that this process is a lifelong process and never at any time?
Are you saying, the questioner asks, that throughout life one mustn't have any conclusion? You will find out. Oh Lord, please, you're not following step by step. You're going thinking, that's the difficulty when we're talking with so many people. Now just let me begin again. I want to learn about myself. I cannot learn about myself if there is any form of conclusion. And I see I have got great many conclusions about myself. Good, bad, that I am great, ignoble, this or that. Now, who is the entity that is gathering all these conclusions, right? You following? And so these conclusions divide from the fact. Right, sir?
When I say I'm
How do I know when I am angry? Is that a fact or a conclusion? Well, how do I know that anger is a fact and the opinion about anger is a conclusion, right? Don't you know? The opinion, the judgment about anger is a conclusion. And the fact I'm angry is a fact. Oh, the love of God.
I don't want to go on to the next step until I can see more concretely in my own case that my conclusions are preventing my contact with the actual fact.
I understand that, sir. There are two things involved, isn't there? The observer and the thing he observes, right? The observer says, I must learn about myself, right? And so there is a division between the observer and the observed, right? That's a fact. The observer says, I must learn about what I observe. That is, the observer says, I must accumulate knowledge about myself. Right? Please look at it. There is myself and the observer. Right? The observer says, I must learn about this thing which is myself. Now, is there a division between the observer and the observed? To her mind there is. Why? Why do you think that there is a division? Is the observer the entity that concludes, that says, I must learn about myself, right? The observer is the past, isn't it? Right, sir? The observer is saying, I know a great deal, and I must learn more about myself. The observer doesn't say, I know nothing. Right? The observer says, yes, I know about myself little, because I've been angry, I've been prejudiced, I've been hurt, I've got many images. And with those images heard, with those judgments, he looks at the thing he calls myself. No? So I say to myself, who is this observer? Who is saying, I must learn, I must do this, I must... You follow? Who is this observer? Until I am very clear about that, I can't move any further, right? Be clear on this point, sir. So, who is this observer? We go slowly. Don't jump to conclusions. Go slowly. Who is the observer? In you. No. Oh, Lord. No, just look at it slowly. Take it slowly. I've got my makeup is divided, right? Fragmented. The body, the heart, the mind. I have the image, I have been hurt, and I love, you follow? I'm broken up into a great many fragments. Right, sir? Now, go slowly, please. Now, who is the observer among those fragments? Huh? Yourself. Now, yourself. Your parents. Oh, for God. Your parents are the observers, are they? Huh? Are you being serious, sir, or pulling my leg? Yes, sir.
That is self-division.
What?
Yes, this self-division of observer and observed.
That's what we are saying, that,
Does
sir.
not naturally arise unless I get a kind of slap on my face. Then I doesn't happen.
Sir, just wait. I don't want to be slapped. I don't want to suffer and then find out. I want to be intelligently observed. I don't want to be shocked into this thing. That's silly.
Sir, it seems to me that the division between observer and observed arises from thinking.
Sir, look at yourself, sir. Don't put it into words yet. Look at it. In you, you are fragmented, aren't you? Now, which of the fragments is the observer?
Sir, I am learning with a motive. It is a fragment.
Quite, I understand that, sir. My God. Aren't you? Then you're a happy person. Finish. When you say, I want to learn about myself, it is a statement of fragmentation. No? So, one fragment has assumed the power or the authority as the observer. Right? That's all. Right? Be clear on this. I am fragmented because I hate, I love. I am ambitious, I am greedy, you follow? Fragmented I am. It's not a question of why do I say it, it's a fact. We are not a harmonious whole. That's a fact. Now, being fragmented, one of the fragments assumes the power as the observer. And therefore, he maintains the division. Now, keep to that, sir. See the fact of that. As long as one of the fragments assumes authority as the observer, that observer maintains the division. Right? Now, my next question is, how is the observer to free himself from... how is the observer not to divide himself apart from as the fragments, right?
By seeing himself as the cause of the division.
By seeing himself as the cause of division. Do you see yourself as the cause of division? Sir, I'm not asking an impudent question, but is it a mere verbal statement, an intellectual concept, or is an actual fact that you see that that the observer is the cause of division? Do you see it? Do you feel it?
I feel it.
Then there is no observer. If I see the cause of division is nationalism, you understand? And therefore war, all the rest of it, if I actually see the danger of it, it's finished, isn't it? I'm no longer a nationalist. Now, in the same way, if I see very clearly the observer maintains, sustains, nourishes this division, the danger, you follow? Then the observer is not. There is only the observed. But wait.
Only momentarily, then tomorrow it comes back.
What, sir?
Only momentarily.
It may be momentarily we discover the danger of it. Now, is that so? Do you momentarily see the danger of a precipice? Do you momentarily see the danger of a wild animal? Or you see it as danger at all times?
I don't feel this as my opinion. I feel that life is demonstrating this everlastingly.
Yes, sir. Sir, look, though we say this, nationalism is a poison, we contribute to war. Right? By being a national. So we never realize the danger of the observer who maintains this division. That's all I'm saying. Do you see the danger? No, let's be honest. You don't see the danger. Why? Go into it, sir. Take time. Why don't you see the danger of division? No, wait, you don't please find excuses. See the fact first. There is Germany and Russia divided. England, you follow? Italy. India and Pakistan divided. That causes conflict, war, hatred. Right? And one feels the division is the most deadly thing, right? Now, why don't you feel this? Why don't you see it?
Sir, without the observer, how can there be the observer? How could you observe anything without the observer?
Madam, don't you see the danger of nationalism? Then are you a national? That's very simple, because you see the danger. That's all. Keep to that. What's up?
The problem is that as soon as we see that, then we really want to come to a conclusion about it. And so we say, well, I'll do this. To fix it.
You don't conclude. I understand, sir. See it without a conclusion. The moment you conclude, that conclusion becomes the observer. You follow this?
Conclusion observed.
Be simple, sir, step by step. I'm asking who is the observer, who says, I must learn about myself. The observer is one of the fragments of which I am. So, when there is an observer, he maintains this division. Right? That's a fact, not a conclusion. Right, sir? That's a fact. That as long as there is a division between India, Pakistan, Russia, China, there must be conflict. Right? Wait, sir, wait, sir, wait, sir, wait. There must be conflict. As long as there is a division in myself, there must be conflict. Right?
Does not the state depend on nationalism?
Why do you make it so complicated, sir? I'm just going from one fact to another. One fact is that there is an observer and the observed. When I am angry, I say to myself, I must not be angry. A division, you follow? That's all.
I don't necessarily say that. When I feel very unhappy, I say, I must look, I must see what it is I'm unhappy about.
Wait, that's good enough. Now, when I am unhappy, I say to myself, why am I unhappy? What's the cause of it, right? So that is a division, isn't there? There is an observer who says, I must examine why I am unhappy. Right, sir? Now, is the observer different from the thing he observes? Wait a minute, madam. Take 2 seconds to look at the question. God, you don't even look. I'm angry. There is anger. At the moment of anger, there is no observer. Look at it. At the moment of your happiness, there is no observer. Only a second later says, how happy I have been. At the moment of anger, there is no observer. Only a second later, there is the observer who says, my anger was justified or I mustn't be angry. Right? No, leave the child alone. You see how we cannot stick to one thing. You.
After every experience, the division comes in. And
So-
yet it is a matter of conflict.
So wait a minute. So of course, we are trying to find out if life can be lived without conflict. Now don't just say yes and pass it off as a theory. We are trying to find out.
But sir, this saying of afterwards, I was angry. This is a completely automatic thing. You mean to say that through awareness it would
But madam, look at it. You don't have to ask me. Look at it. I am happy. At the moment of happiness, there is no observer, is there? Right? Don't say hesitantly. Either it is or it is not. When you are happy, when you are angry, when there is tremendous sense of sorrow. It's only a moment after that you say, I have been happy. I have been angry. Right? So, division arises. Now watch it. Please go slowly. At the moment of enjoyment, at the moment of great delight, there is no observer. That delight has moved, gone. Then you remember that delight. Right? The remembrance is the observer. Right? Listen to it. Please just listen to it. Oh, please just listen to what I'm saying. I have been happy and it's gone. the memory of that happiness remains. The memory. That memory is the observer who says, I would like to be more happy. Right? So, memory as thought is the dividing factor. Big one, madam? But I did not say when you are not aware of it, then begins the problem of separation. Why can't we be simple about this? Look, sir, you have hurt me. You have hit me. At the moment of that, you follow? Then the memory of that remains, right? Then I say, I must hurt you back. So the memory is the observer. Please apply it to yourself, sir. Look at it for yourself. When you have great joy, you don't think, do you? It is there, in full delight. It has gone. Then the memory of it remains, and you want more of it. No? No, it is not necessary always, of course not. You've had sex, and at the moment of it, there is no observer. Later on, the image, the picture, the remembrance, the imagination is the observer who says, what?
If your whole thought is occupied by that memory, it must be the observer, and it's wanting or not wanting. But if you have a shorter memory and are still kind of impressed, you can enjoy without wanting and say, oh yes, that was good. But not wanting again. And then it's not. It's just looking. It can be part of the present.
Is memory part of the present? It is there. But memory is the result of an incident which has taken place, which has gone. Poor is the lip. Madam, don't you long for something? Huh? I'm asking sometimes. Yes. Now, why do you long for it? Because you have a remembrance of something that was pleasant. That remembrance is the observer who says, I wish I could have that again. That's all we are stating.
Well, I'm saying that it's possible to have a memory and not long for it to happen again, or not.
Of course. What? Who is making a problem? Are you taking a superior attitude? I am asking something very simple. I want to find out who is the observer. And can I look at the fact? Is there an observation of a fact without the observer? That's all I'm asking. You've got it, sir, up to now?
Very well. May I say that for a moment, for example, yesterday, there was observation of myself without any fragmentation.
That's right, sir.
For an instant.
That's good enough. Wait a minute. Wait. Wait, but let me. Look, sir. For an instant, there was an observation without the observer. Right? It happens to all of us. It's not something mysterious. Now, what takes place after that? Once, for a second, 5 seconds, or a minute, you observed without the observer, which is the past. You observed, right? Now, what then takes place next? Wait.
It seems as if one could only observe like that.
I'm going to show you something, sir. You have a memory of that, haven't you? Huh? And then you say, I wish life could be lived that way. Which is what? Listen to it carefully. That experience has left a memory, right? And that memory says, life should be lived that way. Which is a conclusion. Therefore, that conclusion prevents you from experiencing that thing next time. That's all. So don't conclude. You had that moment of extraordinary clarity. Finished. Don't say, I must have more of it. The more of it is the observer who says, how delightful that was, I must have more. He makes the problem. Yes, sir?
I watch a movie that's very interesting. There's no observer at that time.
Quite right.
Is that all we're talking about?
Oh, no. Not the movie out there. No, no.
And there's something else that we're looking for while we're watching that movie.
So, when you watch the movie, a film, what is taking place?
There's no observer.
Wait, sir, look at it. There it is. It's not there, but there it is. You're watching it. What takes place? It's an exciting scene.
You're completely absorbed.
You're absorbed, aren't you? Wait, go slowly. Go slowly, sir. You are absorbed by that incident, by the things that are happening on the screen, right? A child is absorbed by the toy. Just, you are absorbed. That is, the film drives out all your thinking, the observer, because it's so exciting, if it is exciting. As the boy is absorbed by the toy. Now, life isn't that film. Wait, sir. Because that's an escape. You are being absorbed by something outside of you.
There's no you escaping.
Sir, you are absorbed, aren't you?
There's no observer.
No. First, go.
You that's absorbed.
Wait, sir, go slowly. You are absorbed, aren't you? By that scene.
Well, the statement is loaded because you say you are absorbed.
No. The scene is so exciting that you, for the moment, cease to exist. Right? Put it 10 different ways. What has taken place there? That scene has pushed away all thinking for the time being. Right? When you have finished with that film and go home, it is what you are at home that we are talking about, not about the film.
I want to talk
Wait. So you are absorbed by the film. Another is absorbed by going to church. Another is absorbed by a book. Another is absorbed by Billy Graham. Wait, go step by step, sir.
I think you are going to talk about why I went to the movie.
No, I'm not going to talk about why you went to the movie. I'm not interested.
Talk about the time I'm there.
I am saying that, sir.
Well, can we discuss this together? Because I'm saying that at that time there was no observer.
Quite right.
And we've reached that point in this conversation.
Quite right. I agree with you, sir.
Now, my next question is, are we talking about something more than
Much more. Much more. That's what I'm saying. Much more. My life is not at the cinema. My life is not consumed by a book. My life is not absorbed by looking at a mountain. My life is what I am. They may absorb me for the time being, but I am back to myself when that is not. I am talking about myself when that is not. I don't say it's an escape, why do I go? I am talking about myself when I am not at the cinema, when I am not reading a book, when I am not listening to some excited idiocy. I'm just watching myself, that's all.
Ma per favore, anche in questo caso, la questione che esista un osservatore diverso dalla cosa osservata non è naturale per noi. Ci pensiamo in quanto lei ce ne ha sempre parlato, ma nel nostro subconscio c'è sempre un'idea
Bene.
che l'osservatore esista come entità separata.
Sì, io conosco bene. The gentleman says, it's your idea about the observer and the observed. It's not our learning. It's not our factual.
Non è la nostra idea naturale e spontanea.
Yes, it's not our spontaneous idea. That's fairly simple. So, I am asking you now, forget your spontaneity, look at yourself. Watch yourself. Is there not an observer who is different from the thing he observes? That's all, sir. That's a fact, isn't it? When you look at yourself, you don't have to have it subconscious or be told. It's a fact when you observe. Look, you have a mirror. When you look at yourself in a mirror, what takes place? Huh? The image is not you. Right? And the image is different from you inwardly, though it is you look at it at yourself in a mirror. Inwardly, there is the image maker and the machinery that makes. No, there is the image and the maker of the image. That's all, sir. Phew.
May I suggest that we are inundated by environmental pressure?
Sir, of course, that's one of the factors. We are inundated by external pressures. Right? Who has created these external pressures? Go into it. Who has created it? Society? The politician? The doctors? The scientists? Yes? Which is you. So you are, listen to this, watch it. You say there are external pressures all the time forcing us. And these external pressures are the politicians whom you have elected, the warmongers, the army, you follow, the businessmen, of which you are part, right? No? Wait. So, you are compressed by the pressures which you have created.
I see many motives in myself, many fragments, yeah? And each motive becomes the observer, you know?
I quite agree, sir.
Yeah, and then I see that, and I say, all observers are these motives, yeah? Also, is the observer always false? You know, the observer is always a fragment.
Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Let the train have its voice. Sir, may I understand it, sir? Now look, we have talked, what's the time? Good Lord. Now we have listened to each other for an hour. What have you learned? You learned, not what I have told you. What have you learned? Learned means a fact, that you know it as a fact for yourself. Have you learned for yourself as a fact that the observer is the past? Wait, have you learned that? Now, what do you mean by learned? Have you learnt it? Have you seen the fact that when there is an observer, there must be division, there must be conflict, right? Do you see it as factual as you see a thunderstorm, a danger, an animal? You follow it as real, not a conclusion, an idea. That's all. That's right, sir. You don't see it.
What is it that prevents it?
What?
What is it that prevents that clear evaluation and experience of it?
No, why do you ask it, sir?
That is what the question is.
Oh, you are asking what prevents you? What prevents you? Which means, I have asked you what prevents you from seeing this fact as you would see a danger, a precipice, as you would not swallow a poison, because you see the danger of it. Now, what prevents you from not seeing this as clearly as that? Take it to yourself. Don't answer me yet. Is it laziness? Is it that you have no energy? Or is it that you don't want to see it? Because if you see it, things may alter, you follow? Your life may be changed. So you are frightened to see it. Though you say, I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't see it. No, please, sir, I'm asking you. The gentleman asks, why is it that I don't see this clearly? Is your mind lazy? You understand? Active. Hasn't got energy to say, well, I must find this out. Because the mind has been fed on other people's ideas. You understand, sir? Lives on quotations. Has become a second-hand instrument. Therefore it says, I can't see this. Therefore forget if you can't see it, but find out if your mind is second-hand. You understand? That's it. And to see that, you must have energy, mustn't you? Why is it that I don't see this thing which is so prevalent, which is so persuasive, which is so factual? All my life it is that way. I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I'm a communist, I'm a young, I'm old. You follow? I'm good, I'm bad, Jesus is right and I'm wrong. You follow? This division. And why don't I see that this division in any form, outwardly, politically, or religiously, or psychologically, is a deadly thing? Why don't I see it? The Jew, the Gentile, the Arab, you follow, sir? Why don't you see it?
Is it because we are subscribing to it?
What?
Is it because we are subscribing to it and won't accept responsibility for the subscription?
That's right, sir. I'm saying that. And yet, this thing creates war. You follow, sir? This thing is going to destroy you. Yes, sir?
Because we have not learned to think, and we think we are able to think.
We are not able to think? Why are you not able to think?
We have never practiced it.
We are doing it here. You see, do it, sir. Find out. Take time. You are here, sitting down, talking over. Why do you not see this? You're lazy? Are you lazy? Yes, that's a factor. Wait, sir. Take it you're lazy. Why are you lazy? Go to it to the end of it. Don't just say, I'm lazy and sit back. Why are you lazy? You have overeaten, overindulged, or you have not enough right kind of food. Find out.
Because of the very conflict that this observer is bringing about is wasting so much.
So you'll say, well, this conflict is destroying our energy. Wait, then why don't you stop it? Find out how to stop it. I'm asking, therefore, inquire, go into it. That is, as long as there is an observer, right, there must be conflict. As long as there is nationality, there must be conflict. As long as you are a Christian and somebody else is a Muslim, there's going to be conflict. Why is it so hard to inquire? Because you have never done it before. Because you've always been spoon-fed. Because you've always accepted what others have said. What the psychologist, what the religious, what the priest says, what the professor says. You don't say that, I know nothing, I'm going to find out. And I'm not going to repeat a word which I don't know. Right?
What makes it difficult for me to understand this at the moment is that, as you say, it is dangerous. There is a second observer saying that the first observer is dangerous.
No, sir, no, sir, no, sir, no. Look, sir, you've heard about the war, that recent war in India between Pakistan and India? Right, haven't you? War between Israel and the Arab world, that's a fact, isn't it? And the fact shows, as long as there is an Arab way of looking at life and the Israelite way of looking at it, there must be conflict, that's all.
But it seems like there's a continuous new observer saying
No, that's a conclusion. Do look at it, sir. One is married. You have a relationship with a man or a woman. There are two entities, aren't there? As long as there is a division, not biological, but psychological division between the two, there must be conflict. You have an image, and she has an image. And there must be conflict. The images are your conclusions. That she's good, that she's bad, that she thinks you are an absurd, idiotic man, or whatever it is.
Where does awareness go after the body dies?
Where does the awareness go after the body dies? We haven't come to that point. Please stick to this thing. If you once understand this deeply, when you see this fact, you will see for yourself that you have to not to depend on anybody. Oh, come on, sir.
Can one have a memory without having had an observer?
Yes, sir, I'm going to show you. That's a good question. Can you have knowledge without that knowledge being used by one of the fragments? Right? Right? You understood my question, sir? Have I translated your question?
Would you please repeat it? I could follow it.
Would I repeat it? I have knowledge. There is accumulated knowledge which is part of the brain, right? The memories, which is knowledge, experience, the past. Now, one of the fragments uses that memory, right? Knowledge, for its own benefit. It exploits that knowledge. I see you are not getting it. Let me begin again. The questioner asked, can knowledge, memory, all the scientific, technological, personal memories that have been gathered through centuries, can that remain without an observer using that so that he creates a division? You have understood the question, sir? What? I can't. Have you understood the question, sir? That's right. Have you understood the question? There is all the scientific knowledge, all the knowledge which human beings have gathered through millions, right? Which is the past. All knowledge is the past. I can add to it, like more and more, but it's always in the past. Now, when that knowledge is used in our relationship with each other, there is conflict. No? Wait. I have lived with you as a friend, as a wife or a husband, boy or girl, I've lived with you. I have images of you. I have built a series of memories, incidents, in our relationship. That incidents, those experiences, those images are the knowledge. Right? That knowledge divides you and me. Right? Why should it? Because I'm living in the past. You.
Everybody is not living in the past. Why should we be living in the past? You take it for granted that we are living in the past.
I don't say that. I am pointing out, madam. I'm not saying you are living in the past. Don't get angry with me. I'm just pointing out that one, as long as you have these memories, these images about me, or I have about you, there must be division. I don't say you are living in the past. I'm just pointing out. Now, knowledge is necessary. You follow? Otherwise I can't build a bridge. I can't go home. I can't ride a bicycle. I can't talk English. But that knowledge which is the past, when it interferes in our relationship, brings division. That's all. And that division is conflict. I don't say you have no conflict or you have conflict. It's up to you to find out. So knowledge can be used totally impersonally, right? But when that knowledge is used personally, it creates a division. That's all. Huh? Who uses that knowledge? Listen to the question. Who uses that knowledge? Tell me, who uses that knowledge?
I guess it's the observers, said before.
Huh? Who uses that knowledge?
You can't say who's using it.
What's that? We're going to find out if it can be said or cannot be said. He has asked it. He has asked it. Either you say, look, that question is not valid, or it is valid. We're going to find out. You see it, sir. If he saw it, he would ask it. Since he has asked it, we must find out if that question is valid or not. His question was, who uses that knowledge? There is the knowledge, consciously, unconsciously, which is the me, right? The culture in which I have been brought up, the tradition, the religious beliefs, the superstitions, all those things are the knowledge which I have. There is that knowledge. Right, sir? Now, who uses that knowledge? Look at it. Who uses that knowledge? It's there, right? I can't deny it. I can't say, well, it doesn't exist. It is there. When does that knowledge come into operation? Go on, sir. Investigate. Don't wait for me to answer it. When does that knowledge come into action?
At the moment when the observer takes part of it, it takes memory out of the knowledge.
Make it much simpler, sir. My question was, you have all this accumulated knowledge, consciously, or unconsciously, which is the content of your consciousness, right? I say to you, when does this knowledge precipitate in action? You answer it to yourself. You follow? You're not relying on me or some book. Wait, when you need it. What do you mean by need it? Wait, go. Please, sir, do talk slowly. I don't understand you. Unless you actually do it, don't repeat something which is not yours. I am asking, when does this knowledge come into operation?
When action needs it.
Huh?
When action needs that knowledge, this knowledge comes into action through me, through my hands, through my speech.
Yes, sir. When does it come into operation? Why do you take such... No, I mustn't be impatient. Go on. Sir, I ask you, what is your name? Don't you tell me? Wait. Ecco. He says, from external stimulation. I ask you, what's your name? The memory, which you have accumulated, responds. But watch it go slowly, because you know your name very well. You have repeated it 1,000 times. Right? There is the knowledge. It only responds when there is a challenge. Right? Now, go a step further with the train. I ask you, what's the distance, or what is something more complicated? And you take time between the question and the answer, don't you? Right? What takes place between that question and answer? The time lag. What takes place? Huh? No.
Memory.
What takes place, sir? I ask you, what's the distance between here and Geneva? What do you say? What takes place inside you? You are trying to remember, don't you? He said, yes. Somebody told me it is 90 kilometers, or is it 80? I'm not quite sure. And you follow? The mind is investigating, isn't it? Looking at it, trying to find out. Right? And you say, yes, it's 90 kilometers, or 100, whatever it is. Now, I ask you something much more complex. And you say, I really don't know, right? You follow? That is, immediate answer, because you are familiar with it, with the question, what's your name? A more complicated question, and you take time, right? Maybe one day you look at books, you ask people, you take time. Then there is a question which you say, I really don't know how to answer it, because I have no knowledge. Right? So, knowledge responds according to a challenge. If that response is not adequate, you follow? Adequate, complete, then the observer comes into being. Why don't you see it? I've got something new. Huh? You see what I'm talking about? No. I'm glad I can explain it. Look, sir, when I ask you a question, what's your name? It's an adequate, complete answer, isn't it? Right? Isn't it? In that there is no conflict, is there? Now, I ask you something much more complex which needs time, and if you can find the answer to that challenge, that's complete answer. In that there is no conflict. Right? Now, if I ask you something to which your answer is not adequate, complete, what takes place? There's conflict, isn't there? No? Oh, come on, sir. You give up. But if it is a question that has to be answered, life and death, you follow, it's a crisis. And in that crisis, if you don't answer completely, there's conflict, isn't there? No, come on, sir. And that conflict is the inadequacy, which is the observer, who depends on memory. Come on, that's simple. I've got it. By Joe. So, there is, to any challenge, if there is complete response, there is no observer in operation. That's a conclusion to you, not to me, because I see it. It's a fact. You follow? So I say to myself, can I live? Is there a living in which every challenge is met totally? Not mathematical problems, you understand? Because I don't know. I don't know scientific problems. Any challenge in relationship, which is the most important thing in life, not mathematics only. Because if in relationship, in that relationship there are challenges, can the mind respond totally? Then if it can respond totally, there is no conflict and therefore there is no observer. Just see the facts, see it. Swallow it, chew it, let it be part of you. So in your life, daily life, which is relationship, can you live a way in which you can respond totally to every relationship? That means you have to be extraordinarily sensitive, energetic, and aware in that relationship. When you're talking to the cook, to your servant, or to your boss, or to the factory, etc. Go. That's 12 o'clock, that's enough.